Okay,
So I think it'd be appropriate to make a motion to that effect if you'd like to do that.
So moved.
Moore, second.
yeah. Okay, great, so we have the
Council,
order, right?
Mayor, would you like a roll call vote? Mayor, would you
Pardon?
like a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Councilmember Chow?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Way?
We didn't hear you, Councilmember Way. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Fruin?
Aye.
Mayor Mohan?
Aye,
The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Okay, so let's move to item number 12, which is a contract to Lifetime Services for the Sports Center instruction, court maintenance, and retail services at the Cupertino Sports Center for a total not to exceed amount of 24 million. Recommended action is we award a 10-year contract for not to exceed amount of 24 million or a 5-year, the recommended action is to award a 10-year contract. Okay, and then the second recommended action is to authorize the city manager to execute the contract with Lifetime Activities. Okay, so let's go with a staff report, Madam City Manager.
We do not have a presentation, given that this is on the consent calendar. And we saw the amount of questions coming from the residents. So we went ahead and issued a supplemental memo last night. It has clarifying questions. There are recommendations for council to adopt a 10-year with a $500,000 donation from this particular vendor to, in the future, potentially convert the existing pickleball courts into additional pickleball courts with the elimination of one existing pickleball court. All that will be done through the CIP process. Perhaps it was not clearly delineated in the staff report, but we want to make sure that that is stressed out in the supplemental. So I hope that will answer most of Councilmember Chow's questions. If not, myself and the team, Jenny Recreational Manager and also Greg Carr, Purchasing Manager, are here to answer your questions.
Yeah, so I had a question. You said all the items listed in the contract would be part of the CIP process.
The delineation of the courts, that will be part of the CIP process. That's correct.
Okay, so when the contract, I think in one of the documents, it talked about eliminating 2 pickleball courts and moving it
I think it's converting to 3 existing and then relocating to a different location for 2 more.
And after having read that, I realized that it would be a net addition of 1.
Net reduction of 1.
Net reduction of 1 pickleball court.
Correct.
Right. But you're saying there's further action that's needed before that can be implemented?
That is correct. As any of the CIP project, that process will come through council. And council can also provide that clear direction to staff when that specific court has been located. It will come back as part of the CIP process if it's not clearly delineated.
So
So
just
I guess
clarify-
I just clarified that I think the city manager is committing to bring the action back to council. It's not clear to me what council action would be required to do
Okay,
this.
so just wanted to clarify, it's not a Lifetime Activities decision, it's our decision.
For the location of the pickleball court, but the contract is for you to review.
Yeah.
And I would emphasize that for the 10-year extension or 10-year contract renewal would come with a $500,000 donation. With the 5-year recommendation would not come with any additional donation.
Right. Okay, all right, further discussion on the Lifetime Activities contract. Do we have to go to the public first, or? Okay, go ahead with your question.
Okay, I did have one question for staff in engaging in some back and forth with members of the public, explaining what the sort of commitment might be from Lifetime with regard to capital improvements. One of the things that wasn't 100% clear to me is what exactly would constitute, I think it was termed neighbor-friendly LED lighting in order to enable nighttime or evening play on courts 16, 17, and 18.
The neighbor-friendly lighting is that LED lights don't have to be as high as the old lights, and so they would be lower lights and not shine into the neighbors. And those courts would also still shut down at 8 p.m.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Oh, Councilmember Moore, you had a question for staff?
Yes, so I was trying to locate the contract, and I found an amendment, and I want to make sure that I have the right one. Amendment to Agreement 12-033 between the City of Cupertino and Lifetime Tennis. Can someone verify that this is the contract? And if so, the reason I bring that up is because this contract expired September 30th, 2024, when I believe the staff report is saying that we have till December, but it looks like it already expired. That's the first part. And then I'd like to understand, since at one point we were making 20% of the total annual revenue in the 2012, well, actually in the 2018 update, we ended up with 16% for our compensation, and now we're dropping down to 12%. And the July 3rd, 2018 meeting had some really good information in the attachments, including some back and forth between Lifetime Tennis and our former Parks and Recreation Director. And Lifetime Tennis was explaining in those emails about what their financial situation was like. And I'm wondering why we're having a continued decrease in the percentage, going down to now 12% from the 16 that we had. Was there some reason from Lifetime about that? And just as moving forward, when we see staff reports, I really appreciated the 2018 report describing Lifetime Tennis and what was going on. This report, I felt like I had to dig a bit too much into the contract to find out about the pickleball courts and the LED lighting, and I question of whether that's kind of are we veering into this being a project under CEQA because you've got a noise issue, noise and light, and you're kind of reusing the space. Should we have noticed to the residents that were there? And I mention that also because I walked near where the exterior pickleball courts are at Memorial Park. And what I noticed at the single-family home there was that when you have the solid wall and of the home, it's an L-shaped home there, the sound just really reverberated in there. And if we haven't asked the neighbors if this is an acceptable change in use, I think we're being unfair to them. So has there been outreach to the neighbors about this new lighting and the courts? Have we done anything like that to let them know that this is in the works? Thank you.
I believe the last contract was 2018, and that did expire, and there was an amendment made for 6 months, and that amendment was, we asked for an additional 6 months so that we could do the RFP, to give us time to do it, and that does expire on December 31st. To answer your question about the pickleball and the sound first, there are currently 6 pickleball courts on courts a total 16, 17, and 18, which are right up against the commons. And these would move the pickleball courts farther away from them to the opposite corner. That's what's proposed in their contract.
Excuse me, may I have the number of the amended contract so that I can look it up?
I don't have that number right in front of me.
It's
But I
12.
believe your 12 was the original.
It's 12-033, and I can send you the link right now.
Okay, so I have the one from 2018, which extended to June 30th, 2024. But what you're saying is that there was another amendment that happened for 6 months. So that would have been something that came to council. I should be able to see it in the 2024 agreements because we would have needed to agree to that amendment.
I'm looking at Greg, and Greg's shaking his head. Go ahead, Greg.
So it's buried in 2012.
So the third amendment was issued in April 2024, and by way of the standard agreement, the city manager has the authority to extend an agreement without increasing the total compensation amount. So I believe that's the action that was taken. So in that case, it wouldn't have come before council specifically to extend the term of the agreement. If we would increase the compensation amount, I believe that's when the item would have been held or heard by council.
Okay, so are you saying this did, I couldn't quite follow you there. Did it, you're saying it did come to council or did not?
The extension for time did not come before council.
Okay, so I'm remembering correctly, and it looks like it was amendment number 3 in 2012. So just as a kind of a records issue, I had to go back to 2012 and go digging in order to find this. So if this actually happened in 2024, but you have to do quite a bit of sleuthing in order to find the record, which I would prefer that if you're amending something in 2024, that we can find it in 2024. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so are there any comments from the public on this item? Oh, sorry, Councilmember Wei?
So my question is, have there been any RFP out there? Because I know we have a long-term contract with lifetime tenants.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question, Councilmember Wei.
Do we do any RFP out there for
Yes.
other, okay.
Yes.
What's the response of the RFP?
I believe there were 2 vendors responded, and our Lifetime was one of them. And it's also stated in the staff report. So yes,
Yes.
there were RFP, and then our Lifetime responded.
Okay. Let me ask,
I have
Oh, you wanna go
ask
ahead?
question.
go ahead.
So the RFP was issued in September, and but the last contract ended in June. Was there an earlier effort for RFP that was not answered?
I think Jenny mentioned, or Greg mentioned, that the contract was extended in April to the
So
end
how
of
come we
December.
didn't do the RFP earlier, way before the 5-year contract end?
I believe it was a timing issue and we didn't have time to get it done before their contract ended.
Okay, and then I think the staff report mentioned that there were 2 bids, but unfortunately, the RFP or the proposals from the 2 vendors were not included. So in the staff report, you mentioned that the other vendor did not know the city operation as well since it's a new vendor. So I wonder whether the staff has given them fair chance to meet with the staff to further understand the city operation, that they need the information in order to provide. Did the staff meet with the other vendor to provide, to give them information on the city operation?
Yes, there was a non-mandatory meeting before, at a certain time, I believe it was in September, I can't remember the date, and both vendors attended that meeting.
But then it seems the other vendor, what's the name?
Gorin Tennis. Gorin Tennis.
Gorin Tennis. Okay, so Gorin, I think their bid come in at a higher rate than the Lifetime, which is the good thing that we are doing an RFP so we can compare. And it seems after that, the city staff then proceeded to choose Lifetime with a lower revenue for the city, and then negotiated with them to raise the percentage from 10% to 12%. And then also offer this option of donation. I think we received an email from Goring that they were not offered the same opportunity to amend their contract. So have you offered the same opportunity for the other vendor?
So I will take that. I believe I saw the email from Groen this afternoon as well, and Greg Card actually looked into it. We offered the same opportunity, but Greg, would you please clarify some of the concerns that this vendor brought up?
Yeah, sure. I think it's important to start with the process. So the reason why, to your point, we issued a request for proposals to evaluate qualifications. Cost is a consideration when evaluating it, but it was only 10% of the overall consideration. So we were looking at things that were more relevant with regard to how they were going to provide classes, their experience doing it, the staff, the instructors, and so those weighted more heavily in the total evaluation with regard to the most qualified vendor. Once we determined who the most qualified vendor was, which in this situation was Lifetime Activities, we engaged in negotiations with them. The manager, Coverman, led those negotiations, and that resulted in the determination or the idea that we could gain better value in a longer-term agreement with Lifetime Activities, and then of course that resulted in the contract that's before you. With regard to Goran's claims or concerns, I would say the reality is that, while cost is always a consideration, again, in this case, and best practice, if you will, is not to consider cost as the highest weighted value, which is the reason why you go through a qualifications-based consideration. So we did factor in cost, and that was considered, but because they weren't selected as the highest rated proposer, our process dictates that we would first engage in consultant negotiations with that vendor. If those fail for any reason, then of course we have an opportunity to continue down the list at staff's discretion, provided that we have qualified vendors. So Goran didn't have that opportunity because we didn't reach the position where we needed to adjust our negotiations and move to the
The
next
staff
vendor.
report says that they did not understand the city operation. Was there enough information in the RFP to provide them this information so that they have enough information to prepare their proposal?
I believe Jenny mentioned that there was a mandatory required meeting to go over all of the criteria with anybody that's interested in RFP. And that's a standard practice for all RFP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, any public comments for this item?
Yes, Mayor, I have 5 requests to speak from within Community Hall, so a total of 15 minutes. I currently see no hands raised virtually.
Okay, all right, let's go with that.
Okay, so if you do wish to provide comments on this item, please have your hand raised virtually in the next 9 minutes or submit a blue speaker card in Community Hall. We have Randy Kunke, Vidya, Sri, Andrew Wu, and Sanar. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to echo Councilperson Moore's concern about the percentage of revenue that would be taken from this project. The next thing is that I'd like to address is the pickleball being moved away from the condominiums. Well, they may not like the sound, but there's a lot of other people who don't too. It's going to put it around the tennis courts, and that's really going to change the character. I know that I've walked into places that didn't have pickleball and then did like Bay Club. It changes the nature of the place. I like the current separation that we have, where there's kind of tennis on one side of the sports center, there's pickleball on another side of the sports center. I think that works well, and I wish we could keep that. The idea of creating, putting lights on the courts, that's a good idea. It's appealing to have more tennis courts available from the other side, but with the low light, they won't go to 10 p.m., it'll only go to 8 p.m. The longer term thing for me, though, is that it seems like this is kind of a Band-Aid. We convert some courts, it's like a zero-sum game. We're not talking about building more courts somewhere. We're robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. The pickleball courts are more dense. That creates more demand on parking. I just really wish we could look at some longer term solutions where we could, build more resources for people to come and do the resource. The guy, Mr. Lynn, spoke earlier. I hope he gets his lines on the courts in the Memorial Park. But really, the best answer is we need more courts in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Next, we have Vidya, followed by Sri, followed by Andrew Wu, followed by Sanar. Welcome, Vidya.
Hi, good evening, everybody. As a Cupertino resident, also a member of the Sports Center, and as a very avid tennis enthusiast, I'm really concerned to see about the proposed changes to the tennis courts being converted to pickleball courts. And I'm not really convinced that we are gaining anything by way of tennis courts because of the lighting issues that have been mentioned. And the LED lights that are being promised, we don't really know, that they work for tennis very well, that we don't have them currently. And if they work so well, why aren't they already installed and why aren't the pickleball players already using these lights? So it seems like an experimental thing. And I'm also concerned that this is sort of a way in which Court 9 and 10 will first get converted to pickleball, and then slowly Court 11 and 12 will all go to pickleball and will be reduced. We will have very reduced tennis court capacity at the Sports Center. So that concerns me greatly. And the other issue I'm also worried about is granting the 10-year contract a lifetime. And from what I've seen in other cities like Sunnyvale and Santa Clara, the facilities that are run currently by Lifetime are not great at all. They don't maintain courts very well, and compared to what we have at the Sports Center, they are not at the same level or quality. So I'm concerned that having a 10-year contract is going to bring down the character of the Sports Center from what it is currently. And I would suggest that any contract be taken, viewed a bit more critically, and even the RFP, as Councilmember Chow said, should have been sent out even earlier, so we could have probably solicited some more proposals from other vendors. And Gorin Academy is certainly very reputed, and they do contract with many other places, even at De Anza College, for instance. So I find it hard to believe that they are somehow not aware of how to work with cities. So if that can be revisited and also reassessed, I think that would be a good start, and also probably get some quotes from other vendors for a better deal for the city in terms of revenue. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. Next, we have Sri, followed by Andrew Wu, followed by Sanar. Welcome, Sri.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am also a CSC member, a Cupertino resident, and an avid tennis enthusiast, although I'm right now injured and trying to get back to playing tennis. I am concerned about the proposal of converting, of moving these pickleball courts to take over Court 9 and 10. I used to play, when I was not injured, every week tennis at Court 9 and 10 are great courts for tennis. If they become pickleball courts, it will really dampen the experience, as Randy said, for other tennis players who all the tennis courts are on that side. And if the LED lighting was an option, why has that not been done? I think we should first sort of put this off and wait for install the LED lights and see what happens there. And there was it was mentioned that the residents' input has not been sought after, and that might be a concern. So I think perhaps the first thing to do is let's put LED lights in courts 15, 16, 17 and have them as dual use right now as pickleball and tennis, and then see how that goes. And then we can sort of maybe evaluate. And then I also wanted to add some things about lifetime 10-year contract. Seems like this donation of $500,000 is contingent on this sort of pickleball court. And I really worry about this privatization of something that should be cherished. I think I've mentioned this before. CSC is a very, very unique. It's something that Cupertino should be very proud of. It's a public-run facility that facilitates, sports and tennis and pickleball, and also with contract the current lifetime through and classes. And I think one of the concern I had about this contract is that if Lifetime is going to be in charge of maintenance of the courts, and that's taking away from what the city is doing, that's really concerning because we know the experience of Sunnyvale. When we play with Sunnyvale, their courts are cracked. Their maintenance is nothing like that. Their courts are dirty compared to Cupertino. Many Sunnyvale residents moved to Cupertino and became CSC members to play tennis in Cupertino because of the conditions in Lifetime. Lifetime and the court reservation system in Sunnyvale made it very prohibitive for tennis, whereas in Cupertino you have one membership and people can play tennis in peace. So I really do have some concerns about Lifetime's track record in other cities that should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri. Next, we have Andrew Wu, followed by San R. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, everyone. Allow me to speak here. I'm a resident of Cupertino for more than 2 decades. My kids growing up in Cupertino Sports Center. So, like Shira said, it's a very special place to me and to my family. I'm a huge tennis fan. Last weekend, my team represented Northern California, won the USTA National Championship. So just to show how much I love the tennis there. But at the same time, my grown up eldest son started playing pickleball as well. So I have both sides of a understanding of tennis and pickleball. I support pickleball as a sports, but I echo what Randy is saying, that it's good to have a win-win situation. My eldest son took me to places. He plays the pickleball, for example, in Palo Alto, in San Jose. They both cities have dedicated locations and facility for pickleball. It's a great place for the pickleball players to gather together, to have their social. So I think that's a great idea. I heard that Cupertino will have a dedicated pickleball facility in Memorial Park. I hope that continues to be a plan. That is a win-win situation for the city, for the residents, and for the member of Cupertino Sports Center. And in that idea, in the same idea, I think it's a good idea to keep the pickleball in the same location as it is now. It has that dedicated location for the pickleball players. They have their own zone and they have their social cycle. It's a very good idea in my view, experience. I hope you guys can support that idea. And since the pickleball has already been there, I assume the due diligence, the hearing has been done before. That's the reason being approved. So I think that shouldn't be changed. There's no particular reason to change unless something else suddenly happened. So that's my input, and thank you guys for listening to me.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we have San R, and then we will move to those requesting to speak virtually. Welcome, San.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Mohan. Firstly, let me just say I'm a CSC member, Cupertino voter. I'm a daily user of CSC. I'm a 40-year tennis player, so I've grown up playing tennis. I'm a parent of 2 tennis kids, and I'm also an ex-customer of both Gorin as well as Lifetime. So I've spent thousands of dollars on Lifetime for my kids, and I spent thousands of dollars at Gorin for my kids, and I have a chance to firsthand observe both of them. The first thing I want to say is, if the pickleball, I will start actually with the supplemental report. The supplemental report is misleading. Courts 16 to 18 are today tennis courts. They are not pickleball courts. They are tennis courts that are available for pickleball use when not being used for tennis. So I just want to clarify that. They are not pickleball courts. They are tennis courts that are used for pickleball when tennis is not being used. The second thing I want to say is, so it's not a net gain of 1 court, but it is actually a loss of 3 tennis courts that were used for tennis being replaced by 2 full-time pickleball courts. So there's misrepresenting statements in there, because 16 to 18 can be used for tennis and they're going away, and 9 and 10 were also usable for tennis and they're going away. So I just want to be clear on that. Now, I want to make sure I use my time here. The contract for 5 years should be considered. 10 years is too long a period of time. Service declines over time, and when someone has a 10-year contract, the service quality will continue to decline. I have been a user at Santa Clara and Sunnyvale, and I've seen the quality of courts there. They're deeply cracked, they're not well maintained, and I do not recommend Lifetime. Gorin, on the other hand, they have professional players that have played at the college level. They have trained people that have gone to high school and college level players. Cupertino has a chance to produce college level tennis players. This is a great opportunity for Cupertino with 18 courts to not waste the space you have. apply that to a good vendor that actually produces high-quality talent that will bring Cupertino some name and fame. Goran has players that are WTA level coaches. Their contract actually produces more revenue at 5 years. And Goran operates academies today at De Anza College, at West Valley College, at King's Academy, at Las Lomas High School. They have courts, they have 18 courts at West Valley that they operate. So they run the program professionally. And I request council to please not make any decisions in haste. This RFP has been late as is. Let's give it some more time and consider this in full light. Thank you.
Thank you, San. And next, we will move to those requesting to speak virtually. We have 4 requesters: Vitaly Gorin, Kaz Shin, Felix Katzman, and Lisa. Welcome, Vitaly.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello? Hi. Yeah, thank you for giving me some time. I was just listening in. I have absolutely no issue if we lose the RFP and if Lifetime proposes a better contract than us. Everything, on an RFP is fair. There's a lot of things, honestly, we weren't told. No one reached out to us to negotiate, and this is the first time I hear that no one reached out to us because of our qualifications. And so it's a little bit hard for me to understand. We've been doing this for 30 years. Our director is a WTA former player and a coach from the WTA, which is the Women's Tennis Association, the Pro Tour. We have multiple coaches from the Pro Tour. We've produced an enormous amount of Division I scholarship kids. Multiple independent publications have listed us as top 10 academies in the world. So I'm a little bit confused because this is the first time I heard that our qualifications and our ability to give a good product that didn't allow us to negotiate. And as far as the proposal, we were never told we could increase percentages. We were just, when the RFP came out, it was just asking what kind of revenue we could create. We absolutely could have increased the percentage to the city. We could have increased also the donations to the city, but none of that was either solicited or we were even given a choice. The RFP had kind of, I would say, check boxes, check this, check that, and we filled them all out. And this is the first I've heard of a Lifetime being, recommended for award, and that's okay. I mean, if we lose, we lose, but I would have at least liked to have, a fair shake, and, if I lose, at least on merit. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vitaly. Next, we have Katz Shin, followed by Lisa, followed by Felix Katzman. Welcome, Kaz.
Hello. I would like to just voice my concern about the 10-year contract for Lifetime. And I'm also curious if the RFP for the other Gorin Academy, whether they had enough time to prepare and whatnot, because I actually have been playing at Cupertino Sports Center for over 20 years, about 20 years. And the quality of the coaches there is questionable. I have put my kids since they were 4, over 10 years. My kids took lessons there. Over the course of time, the quality of the coaches there has definitely been questionable. I know there's lots of still good coaches there. Well, honestly, not a lot, but I know there are some few good coaches there, but very questionable level of coaches. So not just from the money perspective, have you folks even looked into, are the coaches there, how qualified of a coach they are? That's one concern I have, Lifetime activities. So I am against a 10-year contract, maybe 5-year might be good. The other thing is, right now as a tennis player, we have to call in at 8 o'clock sharp, not calling, but go on the web at 8:00 0.0002 and try to reserve a court. If we're losing two more courts, court 9 and 10, it's gonna even make it even challenging for the tennis player to get courts, especially for after 5 p.m. when people try to get off of work and try to play tennis. So losing two more courts will definitely impact, the tennis players. So I just wanted to bring those 2 points. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaz. Next, we have Lisa, followed by Felix Katzman. And those are the two that has had their hands raised before the 9-minute cutoff. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I just noticed that there were a lot of letters sent in on this subject. A lot of concerns, some concerns that the length of the contract wasn't needed, various things. But I just hope that you all read the letters that came in, and I'm assuming there would have been more people speaking had this been known that it would be open and not a consent item, and that item 16 didn't go before this. So please don't discount the comments made in writing. And I just have one other comment that may have nothing to do with anything. However, with the solar plan for the city, I'm led to, I know that there's a plan for some solar over at Sports Center, and that it will include lighting. And I can't recall exactly where it is, and I am not a member of the Sports Center anymore, so I don't know where the lighting would collide, if it would be an issue with any other lighting for the residents that live next door. It may be a non-issue, but that is, there's something else gonna be happening over there. So I maybe butted in where I shouldn't have, but I do hope that you consider the passionate residents when you're thinking about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And our final speaker is Felix Katzman. Welcome, Felix.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm part of the Gordon management team, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to add that, of course, we respect the competition. It just we were surprised when it was concluded that we don't have enough experience. We have over 30 years of experience, and we're actually proud of the services we provide. So I just wanted to mention that we were not asked for any kind of clarification. There was no discussion, just that single non-mandatory meeting that we attended, where we were just shown the facility. So yeah, again, we're just surprised that there was a conclusion that we don't know what the community and the municipality needs are. Yeah, of course, we respect the decision. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Felix. And Mayor, no additional requests to speak within the time limit.
All right, so that ends the public comments for the item number 12, which is related to the sports center. Let's sort of try and wrap this up. Can we get it back to council with a motion? Councilmember Chow?
Yeah, I have a motion.
3 minutes, please.
Okay, I'll propose a motion to get us started. I'd like to extend the current contract with Lifetime for another 6 months while we do another RFP to make it clear to the applicants that they could propose flexible options such as different percentage of revenue, one-time donation, or any other options they can propose. This is a competitive proposal. And more information on the city's operation and expectations, so the applicants have enough information to respond as for their qualification. And more information on the quality of coaches that they have, for example, their minimum requirement for a coach, maybe likely they have different level of coaches. So I'd like to know what kind of coaches they have at high level, medium level, and beginner level.
So,
And
just to comment on that motion, Mayor, if you may, before you request a seconder. So I think that council, it would be within council's authority to direct staff to explore negotiating an amendment to the contract. I'm not sure that the way this is negotiated, the way that this is noticed, that you could approve that amendment today. I would also say, with respect to the other commentary, I'm not sure that that would be consistent with our purchasing policy. We'd have to go back and see whether we would need to do a new RFP if we were going to scrap this process and start over. And I don't know if Greg, I see Greg is,
So
might have
just-
something to say about that as well.
So just for clarification, Mr. City Attorney, you're suggesting, you're saying it's within our scope to amend?
You could direct staff to explore an amendment, depending on, I believe, just given the amount of this given this amount of this contract, if we increase the compensation, it would likely have to come back to council.
Yeah. Okay. Good, yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Chow. 1 minute, please.
So can we give direction to extend the current contract for 6 months today?
No.
No, so that's not.
It's
So
not
we need
agendized.
to agendize for next meeting to do that. And then maybe give direction on what kind of RFP we would like to see.
Right, well, we would,
Or
I mean,
criteria.
we'd have to have a willing county counterparty to extend the contract, but yes, assuming that we did.
Okay, and so then I will modify my motion to be, let's continue, let's reject. So my motion would be, let's reject this proposal and bring the item back in the next meeting to extend the current contract for 6 months and consider revising the RFP, as I stated earlier, to have more information. And another reason I feel that we need to do that, this is not part of the motion, is this agenda packet doesn't have the RFP, doesn't have the 2 proposals, which I usually request and the Public Works usually provide. And they were not there. So a lot of the reasoning that's in the staff report, I couldn't verify the claims since there isn't enough information today.
Okay, so you made a motion?
The motion is to reject the current proposal and extend, can we? I'm not sure. Okay. So let me, we reject the current proposal and extend the current contract with, and direct the staff to bring back an item in the next meeting to consider extending the current contract with Lifetime for 6 months and consider revising RFP, as I stated earlier. Do I need to repeat that?
I believe I have it captured, Councilmember Chow.
Through the mayor, if I may, for clarification, our RFP languages are very similar. I would hate to have a RFP discussion on the dais with council. Not that I don't want to get council's direction, but we don't typically have an RFP development conversation on the dais. And I think the current contract will expire by the end of December. As Greg pointed out, I have the discretion to extend if the other party is willing to extend this for another 6 months.
Can I respond?
Were you saying something? Go ahead,
Okay.
Councilmember Chow.
So I understand that this council doesn't need to review the RFP, but I suppose we can provide direction to staff on what we would like to see in RFP so that we do get the best qualified vendor for this.
Of course,
That
council
should be
can.
appropriate, right?
But I think what I was saying is that RFP has standard language.
I know, but for example, in COSD, when we consider vendors for qualification, we even were able to review the criteria used for ranking them. So that was also something we had discussed at the board meeting.
So you would like to see the RFP language coming back to you before we issue it?
No, I think we don't have to see it come back, but in the next meeting, I hope we have the current RFP and then which has a criteria, right? And then so that we can see if we can make it more clear.
So you would like to see, I'm sorry.
I don't need, you don't need to, so that the council can make comment, give direction to staff. The staff doesn't have to bring the revised RFP back to the council. We don't have to approve the revised RFP. That's
So
what-
if I can ask for clarification, your motion is asking staff to bring the existing RFP back at the next meeting for you to make revision.
Yeah, provide direction to make it better quality, so we can discuss what's a better qualification.
So council can write the RFP on the dais.
No, not right, just give direction.
Okay, understood, thank you.
Councilmember Moore, we could quickly wrap this up in the next few minutes.
Yes, I want to second that, but I'm going to provide some information. I'll just speak up. Okay, so what I have here is the revenue which we. Okay, there we go now. So what I have here is the lifetime revenue going back to 2006 and 7. The city net revenue, 267,000, and then it increased up to 360,000 projected for 2017 to 18. And then for 2018 through 2024, it was projected to go up to 360,000. So, and the percentages that were going to Cupertino used to be 20%, then it moved to 16%. And now we're looking at 12%, and we're down to between 200,000 and 220,000. So when this does come back, I would like to have the percentage that Cupertino retains be addressed, because it looks like we are currently receiving less than we were in 2006 and 7, and I'd like to have a staff report that explains why that happened. If it makes sense, if there's a good reason for it, that's great. If it doesn't make sense, I'd like to know that as well. Thank you.
Okay, so you did second Councilmember Chow's motion, right?
Just to clarify the way that procurement works for these kind of services. So the city develops an RFP, and then that RFP is made available to service providers, to vendors. The vendors submit a proposal. Staff ranks the proposal based on predetermined criteria, and tries to pick the best proposal. So there seem to be comments made tonight that suggest that this is more of an ad hoc negotiation, but we have a fairly structured procurement process as a public agency.
I mean, if I may, I'm sure we can demonstrate or just provide, the qualifications that we considered, but those were clearly identified in the RFP. So each proposer had an opportunity to propose their response, to provide responses to how they would develop the program, how they would provide classes, what their experience was. And so it was a fair evaluation with regard to asking each proposer to provide the same information. After we made that assessment is when we began discussing negotiation items that ended up being the the contract that's being presented now. So if we kept if we went back and said we don't want to consider any of the options, then I'm sure we can do that. But again, even if it was a 5-year contract, for example, with no capital improvement, at this point, Lifetime Activities would still be the highest ranked vendor. So we would be entering an agreement with them for 5 years. If we attempt to say we should redo the RFP, I think the most important point is to understand what would we do differently, right? What are the qualifications that we would be looking for beyond or, beyond kind of the best practices that we've already built in to a template that we use for most things. The final thing I'll add is beyond our advertisement within the city's bid website, which is required in the municipal code, we took the additional step and bid on DemandStar. So DemandStar is a publicly available solicitation site where it only advertises public bids and RFPs. And so we did that with the effort to get as broad of outreach as we can. So I think that, even though we only had 2 responders, we did, I believe, our due diligence to, reach out as broad as we can, provide as much information as we could, and also take in any questions, right? Throughout the RFP process, any interested proposer can always ask questions. And so if there's lacking information, they desire to know more about the program or aren't clear about what needs to be submitted, there's always an opportunity for them to do that. I don't believe that we received questions in that regard. Oh, we did? Okay, so we did receive questions, I apologize. And so we responded to those. And so that engagement is always the opportunity for proposers to consider or get better information with regard to what the city is looking for. And so I believe we've gone through that process, with regard to what our policy outlines, what our templates have outlined, what our municipal code allows for. But again, happy to take feedback from council, city manager, otherwise, with regard to revising it and potentially going back out, or at least looking more carefully at the evaluation criteria that we used in selecting Lifetime Activities in this agreement.
I wanted to propose a substitute motion, and just wanted to make a few comments. The city does have a well-defined procurement process. In this case, there were 2 applicants, and it sounds like the process was followed. I mean, you can only select one. It's like a job, selecting someone for a job. If there are 2 applicants, you select one. It doesn't mean the other person is not qualified, but you're rating one against the other, and in this case, you looked at 2 vendors, went with the Lifetime. Because they have a history. They've been with us since 1994. I talked to Sunnyvale. They've had a 10-year contract with Lifetime. And I think maybe staff mentioned that San Francisco has a 10-year contract with Lifetime to maintain their sports centers. So there's a process in place. The process was followed. I'm not hearing anything that tells me that the process was contaminated in any way. So we have a vendor that was selected based on the expertise of our staff, who are the experts more than we are, and and their recommendation is to go with Lifetime Activities for the sports center. I'm also hearing from the city manager that the items that were listed as their to-do list are completely open to discussion, and that we would be not holding them or expecting them to do any of that we would get a further chance to decide how and when and why we want the sports center, tennis courts versus pickleball courts to be reconfigured. Having said that, and keeping in mind that the contract expires end of December of this year, we need a contract. And I am saying that if the 10-year contract is too hard to swallow, keeping in mind that we will lose out on the revenues, but we could go in with a short-term 5-year contract, which would keep operations in place. We wouldn't be doing anything with pickleball courts and tennis courts till a further discussion happens. But for now, we'd have a contract in place. We'd lose the revenue, but at least the sports center would keep going the way it is now. So it's a long sort of winded motion, but my motion is to go with a 5-year contract. with Lifetime.
So I'll second that, and just note, in addition to the issue of not wanting to have the contract run out and the service lapse, that I do think that there's a sort of question of fairness here in terms of the bidding process, that if this were to all get redone, that now the two competitors have visibility on each other's bids, and that just seems improper to me. So I appreciate the motion, Mayor Mohan.
Okay, Councilmember Moore, you had a comment?
Well, it's actually a question. After sharing the estimated amount of revenue paid to the city, going back in time, does someone have a ready answer for why we are projecting to be earning less than we did in 2006 and 7? The city net revenue then was 267,000. We're projecting our first year to have 200,000. It seems like we're not doing very well with this, and inflation, something should have had this increase.
All I can say to that is that we did go out for competitive bid process, and this is what we got. We do receive, out of the cities that Lifetime is located at, which is 6 different cities, we do receive the highest percentage from Lifetime than any other city.
At 12? So at 20, we were higher than
Yes,
everyone.
most cities receive 4 to 5% in revenue.
I think we all need to take up tennis and learn how to coach it. Okay. All right. Do you have something to add? Yeah.
The only thing I was going to add to that is that the Lifetime contract has, over the years, done a lot of different things, where some of it was about percentage, some of it was about a rental fee, some of it was about whether or not they get space. So over the years, just the percentage doesn't necessarily speak to what the whole contract was. But to your point, yes, it is from the competitive process right now, and we still are making quite a bit more than any of the other cities there.
Okay.
Okay.
Hard to hear, but thank you.
Are we ready to vote on the?
Okay.
Councilmember Chow, one last comment, please.
So, sorry, that escaped me. So I think the coach quality is the main issue. Is any of the criteria in a coach quality in your criteria list? Because it seems I'm getting the information, we would use the same criteria for whatever RFP we have. If we are getting a vendor for a classification system, for IT system, for tennis center management, are we using the same criteria? And also, since the RFP is not in the agenda packet, none of the proposals are. I'm blind. You are asking us to blindly trust staff recommendation.
I believe those are public information, and we can make that readily available to you right away.
They're not, the RFP itself is public.
Made public.
Correct. Just to clarify, yeah, so we did ask for staff qualifications. One of the specific asks was identify the project manager, which would be the coordinator, key staff involved in delivering the services outlined in the RFP, which we all know what those are, identify the role of each, and describe each team member's experience, qualifications, and proposed role in this service. So we asked for that in addition to what public experience they have actually serving clients in this environment.
Yeah, but not coach qualification. There are minimum requirements for different player of different levels.
So typically what we ask is a consultant to identify what roles they have. So for example, right, if you have a coach or a senior coach or a specialized coach, we may not know what all of the different roles are that the consultant, or in this case, the vendor, would provide. We leave that open for them to tell us how are they going to define or provide a team that will demonstrate how they're going to deliver the services. So we don't tell them exactly, I want this coach or this, because that will actually limit them to fit within the box that we define. So we leave it open so they have the ability to tell us how are they going to structure a team that's going to work.
But is the RFP clear that they can provide different options for percentage or donation? That wasn't clear.
So there are two places where we ask for that. Actually, when we talk about their project work plan and approach, one specific thing we say is, additionally, identify approaches to resolve potential critical issues and other elements of concern. So in this instance, Lifetime specifically proposed capital investment as an option to address what we would say
Not
is,
as part of the proposal, it was later when they see a higher bid, right?
no,
No, it was part of their proposal.
correct.
Okay.
So that's a factor that we have to consider when we're actually evaluating their proposal. So each of them saw that and had the ability to potentially propose what they saw as, improvements or areas that could be critical risk, if in fact they identified any of those.
Okay, so we do have a substitute motion and a second.
Mayor, may I just have clarification on the motion? Does it include bullet point number 2 to authorize the city manager to execute the contract with Lifetime consistent with council direction? And that's just for the substitute motion,
Right, yes,
yes.
yes. To execute the contract. And my substitute motion says the contract is for 5 years.
5 years, yes, thank you.
Okay, so we have, should we do a voice vote? Oh, you have a quick comment. Okay, Vice Mayor Fruin.
Yeah, I just wanted to note for the members of the public who expressed a lot of concern about the capital improvement items that were part of the original proposal, that with the 5-year contract, that particular item goes away. So though I'm not usually in favor of throwing away extra money from someone else, it does sound like there's a lot of concern about that issue. If there were to be capital improvements at this site, they would go through some other process and be funded a different way.
Right. That is true. A voice vote, please, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, Councilmember Chow?
No.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Wei?
She said aye.
Yes. Vice Mayor Fruin?
Aye.
Mayor Mohan?
Aye.
The substitute motion carries with Chow voting no.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Time-wise, where are we, Mr. City Attorney?
So we are, in the absence of a motion to extend the meeting will adjourn by roll.
Just a quick question for the city attorney. So this is because from our meeting length, the discussion of an agenda item shall not begin after 10:30 p.m. That's
Without a motion of the council, yes, correct.
okay, all right.
In the absence of action by council, they will all be continued to the December 3rd meeting.
Ray, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I have a request because I have a doctor's appointment in half an hour. So I would like to be able to adjourn the meeting right now and move the rest of items to the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, hearing no motion, I believe that means we are adjourned by rule.
Okay, so we are adjourned. Thank you very much for all those who stayed till the bitter end.